Big Boss Jock Radio Show. A show where listeners are encouraged to rise up, confront the U.S. government, kick off the revolution, liberate the Confederate States of America, the Alamo placed as the capital. Analyst assessment 37. Episode 37. The clip being assessed was posted by NBC News. Posted on April 5, 2019. Airtime 52 minutes, 2 seconds. Clip entitled, Watch Live, Trump Participates in Immigration and Border Security Round Table. Enter into the clip, 17 minutes and 31 seconds. The interaction between Dawn with Gloria. Both stood up. Recipient of the award, Dawn, stood to pose. Gloria, hand took hold. Gloria booked at the book room, took set of fingerprints. Computer generated was the action. Be an analyst. Use primal instincts. Look for themselves. What do they perceive? Go ahead and turn down the sound and only watch the body language. That's what's being deciphered by the subconscious. Viewer of the subconscious condition, Border Patrol, which should be U.S. Border Patrol, will issue a warrant on behalf of Autonomous Region of California, wanted for arrest, U.S. President Don. There's a good chance that will happen. That's what they're conditioning the public for. And Don's a criminal. He's to be booked. Gloria's group, they're going to be with the Autonomous Region of California, what's termed the Border Patrol instead of the U.S. Border Patrol. 1749. Statement made Christian. Her name's spelled K-R-I-S-J-E-N. It's a shadow identity. Because yes, I do know. The former U.S. Homeland Security Secretary, Christian. That name's to remind the listener of the European roots of the holder of that name. The blonde hair that the African descended people are conditioned to disdain to a height and level that it's based on racism. And it makes for hate inside of the person. That's what happens when one practices racism. No one should be judged on the color of their hair. And if they consciously responded, who were asked, they would give a different answer than what they feel inside. It's the conditioning, what is placed in the subconscious. That's why they use the blonde hair. The programmers, when they want to infuriate the Africans. Africans they are, and Europeans are the others. Those are the names. Those are the two racial makeups and many more that exist in the Yankee, about to be former USA. I encourage the listener to go out there and liberate the Confederate States of America. Do not tolerate the takeover, the breakup of the U.S. territory. '1749. Christian is going to make a compliment towards Dawn, but also there's Gloria next to Dawn. And it's unclear what's going on. It's quite confusing. I mean, if the person is trying to actually make sense of each part of what happens at the conference. Because when they start to assess, it's much nonsense. The intent was for Christian to give a snub to Gloria. The computer generated Gloria's tongue exit out of her mouth and go back in. They colored her tongue the same color as her face. So that if the viewer's just watching, they were looking at Christian. Unless they are associated in the group with Gloria. Then they disdain Christian and they look more at Gloria because they feel more comfortable at seeing one of their own. And they look at one of their own with admiration. So they caught the insult by Christian that noted that Gloria was taking her seat well also, as well as the Commander-in-Chief, as a nonsense statement. And what it does is the viewer, depending on their group, are going to see the moment differently. They're more than likely going to be looking at Christian, but in their peripheral they notice what happens with Gloria. And it's computer generated to make it look like she has indigestion and she stuck out her tongue, and Christian noted that. It's computer generated nonsense so the people squabble. It's not real. That technique, bullfrogging. They make it look like a bubble or an extension out of the face by changing the color of the tongue or playing with the movements of the lips. The computer generation. The performance being assessed, very little is genuine. Action after action is computer generated, along with the statements. Christian has a last name. Nielsen, 1750, touch on the shoulder. I believe it was to the president. Touchy-feely people, Yankee. Hands to everyone's self. There are appropriate salutations, included handshakes. It's a formal affair, not a casual get-together. Those salutations should be done properly, especially among leadership. Show example. And with the touch, it has all kinds of meaning. The people are being conditioned to the pantomime. So what does the touch mean? Oh, caring. Also, enough's enough and going to take precedence. Asserting her aggressiveness. That's the president. Enough's enough. She'll take it from there. She's going to refer to the president as you, along with we. And make no mistake, people. The clip's already been assessed in 52 minutes. Person by person at the awards ceremony refers to the president as we, along with you. It can't be, listener. There's no more presidency. An agent at the U.S. Border Patrol cannot describe matters of funds, of operation, of anything to do with the profession in the terms of we, in the significance of sharing authority. He isn't, and it shouldn't be in the significance of sharing authority. By using we, he shares authority. He can't do that. He's a subordinate, or she is. In this conference, there's one after another of male agents that will interact with the president in the form of we and you. So what happens is the U.S. presidency becomes insignificant. An agent discusses the issues at the business on an equal terms with the manager. Well, the attendant that's usually a cashier sometimes sweeps up out front. When speaking with the top manager, discusses the issues in the form of we. Who's the manager? What happens? Scolded gets the sweeper, the cashier, gets put in their place. Management's management. Usually their career's over. Not going to edge in on the position. Don't want the competition. In this case, though, the USDIA feels to condition the viewer to view the presidency, the U.S. presidency, as insignificant. First goes the presidency, and within, will it be a moment or an hour? Will it be a day or even longer before there's another form of government. Not much, though. I mean, within a short amount of time after announced is the presidency's over. And it might be before. He might be hunkered down in the underground with the U.S. Congress about to cede over territory. Over. Knock and take. Cops at the door. Confiscation of all guns. Rise up. Confront the U.S. government. Do not tolerate the breakup of the U.S. territory. Statement made dawn at 18 minutes 15 seconds. See, and I'm stumbling on the seconds. I'm not at proper altitude. 4 aneurysms mentioned in a previous episode. They're all located near the electrode that's hooked to the stemoceiver at the cerebral cortex. It's a bit cumbersome not having anything to deal with the aneurysms. They made sure things didn't work out last year. Now about out. Unfortunate is the situation. Surprised there's not a listener out there. Doesn't make an offer from one to another. Help out with the altitude so that adjusted can be the attitude. Though we'll continue. Difficult to do. Scraping the treetops. Flying along the big boss jock. On the mighty 750 kilohertz AM. 1820. Our one only God, he's right in the inside. He helps me. I go to him for guidance. No one needs to worry. This is the pilot speaking. Big Boss Jock Airlines. Was before every Friday and Tuesday, and I had no idea what was going on. And if you people want to listen to the episodes, they were putting me in a hypnotic trance state, taking me away and bringing me back. I didn't realize. Oh, things such as sexual violation, needles inserted into eyeballs, under fingernails, eyeballs only. At the U.S. FBI office in Redding, California. Everything's there on the films. The feds, they watch this. Not only at the U.S. federal building in Redding, California. Oh, I must have grabbed someone's attention there at the FBI. Faxes to over 19 offices, including the main office in Norfolk, Virginia. Duck waddle, never looked so good. One in the front waistband, the other that was in the hand, tucked nicely there in the back of the waistband. Ready to go in, again and again. Oh, go get something. Get it done. Time to get out there, revolutionaries. It was a poem attached to some other interesting details, though I have to admit, the details, they increased over the time. And with the knowledge, some of those details need to be expanded upon. They were shadow identities. I can give the birth name. I can explain why given was a shadow identity. Or such as my bloodline grandfather named William instead of Earl. William was his middle name. Earl is his first. They tortured until I reversed. Was his first name. He passed away in '84. I inherited his entire estate. Never received $1. USDIA operators with shadow identities, they hold the inheritance. Me, USDIA, since my first day. Planned to be placed exactly where I am. The grandson that would either inherit part or even a bigger part, depending on what actions he took. how much admiration he received from the grandfather. And more than admiration, what happened was, my bloodline grandfather, who held a fortune, he knew if he gave it to anyone else, the USDIA would legally have the estate. With me, I wouldn't obey. I wouldn't go along. So they might take the assets, but they wouldn't take them legally because I wouldn't agree. And that's precisely what happened. He hoped that to happen, and that is what happened. It was difficult to do. But that was the reason why I inherited the entire estate. Also had to do with how I didn't receive $1. Because he was getting his estate taken away by the USDIA. Hawkins crime family. Member Earl Hawkins, born in 1916 in Burley, Idaho, is also known as member Z-Fi Hawkins, fictitiously born in 1918 in Burley, Idaho. In 1929, he became known on the streets as Babyface, a bank robber. Carried a Tommy gun. In 1940, he picked up the alias Al Capone. He owned most of Cuba in 1958, including 59 when there was a takeover, and he still does his estate until this very day. Contracts are to be met, fixed, signatures placed. The Riviera Hotel, along with the National, various others. All along the roadways, including rail lines, all the property. Goes back to his grandfather's estate, Z-Fi Hawkins, born in 1831. The Continental Railroad. Built continental railroads on every continent. In turn, gained the land on the sides of the rails in every continent. Then, with the advent of the automobile, bought up along all the sides of the roads, owned the car manufacturers, Ford Motor Company, including Dodge Car Company. What was it? Dodge Company. You need to get it right, or never existed at all. Change has been the history, and yes, it did exist. Those assets were taken over, and a multitude of others, by the USDIA. My person, me, nothing. I never received $1. The 4 guns I received, they took away from me. Gave me a felony. How could it be that I received a fair trial when I was in a USDIA program, and still am, and I emit a frequency and they follow me day and night? They claim that they had no idea where I was. And that they need to chase me down around the world. They, the USDIA, with a U.S. Who are they? They're the secretary. It's the Defense Department? No. It's the State Department. Them. At the embassies, they need to issue an alert. A father traveling with his daughter. Wanted. Alice assessment will continue in a moment. The one only God, He helps me do this rhyme, line by line. I do give my thanks, along with gratitude, for our Father in heaven, our one only God. This is the Big Boss Jock, for a moment, signing off.